guys, hope you're all doing well. In this video I want to talk about the main event taking place on the Big Riyadh season card, Ring 5 I believe it's called, taking place later this month out in Saudi on November 22nd, and that is the light heavyweight fight between David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. And in my opinion, this is going to be a great fight. I don't see this being or any chance really of this being a bad fight. David Benavidez always in entertaining fights, always applies a lot of pressure, throws a lot of combinations, throws a lot of punches, goes to the body, goes to the head. Um, Pretty good counter puncher as well. And Yarde, also, a pretty good counter puncher as well, has a decent jab, has a little bit of a back foot game, decent reflexes. He's pretty sharp early in fights, like I say, decent counter puncher as well, and a decent power puncher as well for the light heavyweight division. David Benavidez, there's a little bit of question marks over his power since stepping into the light heavyweight division. I don't think he was ever really a one punch type of guy, but I think he can. I think he still has a bit of pop in the light heavyweight division. Um, and we're about to find out. He's coming up against a decent test, a natural light heavyweight, and like I say, a guy that has decent power for a light heavyweight. So we're gonna see him tested. Yeah, Benavidez, like I say, comes forward behind that high guard, applying a lot of pressure, throwing a lot of combinations, which in turn should give Anthony Yarde a lot of opportunities as well to land his power shots. In my opinion, Anthony Yarde sort of struggles, in my opinion, against guys that have decent legs and a good back foot game with a jab. We've seen him have trouble with Lyndon Arthur, one or two other guys that can move a bit. But that's the thing with Lyndon Arthur, he doesn't really have good legs. He has a good jab, but he doesn't really have good movement. So yeah. But like I say, this fight, David Benavidez, he's a front foot guy, so we won't really have to see Anthony Yarde struggling to track anybody down. Um, he's going to be the guy getting tracked down in this fight. So David Benavidez will come towards him, and like I say, this should give Yarde opportunities to land his power. Um, but David Benavidez has shown a good chin so far and a very good engine. He doesn't get tired. So the way I see this fight playing out, like I say, I think David Benavidez is going to do what he does. He's going to apply a lot of pressure, look to throw a lot of combinations, and look to try and break Anthony Yarde down. Anthony Yarde, he said numerous times in the build-up to this fight, he wants a shootout. He's going to stand his ground. Let's go to war. And I think at some point we certainly will see him go to war in this fight. We'll try and stand his ground. And like I say, he is the natural light heavyweight, and he's going to consider himself to be the bigger puncher. So I think he will back himself when a shootout breaks out in this fight, which in my opinion is going to be inevitable at some point, that these guys are going to it's going to break out into a shootout. But I wouldn't be surprised early if we see Anthony Yarde come out early and try to be sharp, try to be a little bit slick, try to use a little bit of movement, a little bit of a back foot game, and look to use that left jab of his. He has a decent left jab, so does David Benavidez. But like I say, Anthony Yarde early in the fight, I probably expect him to come out and use a little bit of movement, use the left jab, and look to set up that lead left hook from the outside. He does look up to Floyd Mayweather, Anthony Yarde. We've seen that Floyd Mayweather likes to use that strategy, obviously, against pressure fighters. Floyd can fight on the inside and on the outside, and now so can Anthony Yarde, right? Obviously, to a much less of an extent, but he looks up to this guy, Floyd. So you can see it all in his style. So at some point, I think we will see Yarde try and put a shoulder up on Benavidez and try and look to outfight him on the inside, because I don't think he's going to have a choice. I don't think he'll be able to keep Benavidez off of him for very long. But like I say, for the first 3-4 rounds, I could see Anthony Yarde trying to implement a bit of a back foot game. Like I say, trying to use his jab a little bit, mixing it up to the head and the body, and looking to sort of set that lead power shot, that lead left hook up off of the jab, sort of get Benavidez used to that jab coming to the head, coming to the body, and then look to sort of jump in with that lead left hook and try and catch Benavidez round his high guard and sort of try and hurt him that way with lead power shots. Because I think that is one of the ways to beat David Benavidez, would be to not let him get on the inside and sort of keep him on the outside if you can, I think the only guy that probably could do that in the light heavyweight division for 12 rounds is possibly Dimitri Bivol, and even that's questionable whether he has the power to keep him off for 12 rounds. But like I say, I think we might see that from Yarde in this fight. Look to box early and look to try and set up that lead left hook or lead power shots, and try and hurt Benavidez that way, or at least make him sort of gun shy, and get his respect. But like I say, I think he'll have moments of success with that. I think he'll land some shots like that. But I don't see him really actually being able to knock out David Benavidez that way. And that's why I say ultimately at some point, I think Benavidez is going to get to him, and Anthony Yarde's going to have to stand his ground, probably up on the ropes. He'll look to put a shoulder towards Benavidez and look to try and, roll and counter and land sort of uppercuts off of that. But on the inside, in my opinion, I think Benavidez is the superior fighter. Um, I think Benavidez will get to his body, and overwhelm him with those sort of combinations. And Benavidez is really rough on the inside and very, very good on the inside. Very crafty guy on the inside. Very hard to tie up as well. Like I say, a great engine as well. Whereas Anthony Yarde, bit of a questionable engine. And I think in this fight, we'll probably see David Benavidez manage to break Anthony Yarde down, and probably stop him in the sort of mid to late rounds in this fight. I don't see it going the distance. Obviously, Anthony Yarde has a puncher's chance in this fight. Like I say, he's a decent puncher, and Benavidez is not that hard to find coming forwards with that high guard, letting his hands go. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for Yarde to land that big power. However, I don't see him really being able to knock Benavidez out. However, you never know. He has, like I say, a puncher's chance, but in my opinion, I think David Benavidez ultimately is going to be able to get to him with that pressure, and probably stop him in the mid to late rounds in this fight, guys. That's how I see it taking place. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section below. Thanks for listening. Talk to me in the comment section. Cheers.